The mining station orbited a dead moon at the edge of human space. Captain Jake Miller checked the monitors in the control room. Everything seemed normal until a flash of silver light filled the screens. A ship appeared from nowhere, unlike anything, in the human fleet database. Jake rubbed his eyes and looked again. The vessel was there, solid and real. Its surface rippled like liquid mercury but held a definite shape. Smooth curves and impossible angles that hurt to look at for too long. No visible engines or weapons, just pure alien design. Alert the crew, but keep it quiet, Jake told his second-in-command, Lisa Park. We don't want. Panic Lisa nodded and moved to the communication panel. Her fingers flew across the controls, sending coded messages to key personnel. Within minutes, the senior staff gathered in the control room. What are we looking at? Asked Chief Engineer Danny Chen, his face pale as he studied the readings. First contact, Jake said simply. The words hung heavy in the air. Humanity had been searching for other life for 300 years. Now it had found them. Or they had found humanity. The alien ship moved closer but made no aggressive moves. It stopped exactly 1,000 meters from the station and waited. Jake felt sweat on his forehead. This was it. The moment that would change everything. Sir, we are receiving a transmission. Lisa said, her voice shaking. It's mathematical patterns, but they are adapting. Learning our language in real time. Put it through. Jake ordered. Static filled the room, then cleared. A voice came through, musical and feminine, speaking broken but understandable. English. I am Princess Zara of the Celestial Empire. I come in peace. I wish to meet humans. Jake looked at his crew. They all stared back at him, waiting. He was just a mining station captain, not a diplomat, but someone had to make the choice. Princess Zara. This is Captain Jake Miller. You are welcome to dock at Bay 3. We will meet you there. The connection ended. The alien ship moved smoothly. To the docking bay, Jake watched it connect to their station. The seal showed green, a perfect match despite the alien technology. I need 3 volunteers to come with me. Jake said, I won't order anyone. Lisa stepped forward immediately. I'll go, Captain Danny. Joined her. Someone needs to make sure you don't break anything. Dr. Amy Chen, Danny's sister, raised her hand. If this goes wrong, you will need medical help. Jake nodded, grateful for their courage. They suited up in environmental gear, not knowing if the aliens breathed the same air. The walk to Bay 3 felt like the longest of Jake's life. The airlock cycled open. Fog rolled out, catching the light in rainbow patterns. Through the mist walked a figure that made them all stop and stare. Princess Zara stood 7 feet tall with skin the color of sapphires. Her hair was silver and seemed to move on its own, flowing like water around her shoulders. She wore a dress that looked like captured starlight, shifting and changing with each movement. But it was her eyes that caught Jake Violet, and deep, showing an intelligence beyond human understanding. She studied the humans with the same intensity. They stood frozen until Jake remembered his manners and stepped forward. Welcome to Mining Station 7, Princess Zara, he said with a slight bow. The princess smiled, and Jake noticed it was a very human expression. Thank you, Captain Jake Miller. I have traveled far to find your kind. You were looking for us. Jake asked, surprised. She nodded. My people have legends of a young species that still remembers how to feel. We thought you were myth. Jake exchanged glances with his team. Feel what exactly? Everything, she said. Stepping closer, your emotions burn so bright we can sense them from across the galaxy. My people lost that ability long ago. She reached out a slender blue hand toward Jake, then stopped. May. Jake knew he should be careful, but something in her eyes made him trust her. He nodded. She placed her hand on his chest over his heart. Her eyes widened. Amazing, she whispered. You feel everything so strongly. Fear, excitement, curiosity, hope all at once. How do you function? We just do. Jake said. We don't know any other way. Zara pulled her hand back, looking shaken. My people would consider you either gods or insane. Maybe both. Danny muttered, earning a sharp look from Lisa. The princess surprised them by laughing. It was a tinkling sound, like wind chimes. I like your humor, Danny Chen. Yes, I know your names, I can sense them in your thoughts. Do not worry. I only look at surface thoughts, nothing private that should have been terrifying. But somehow Jake felt no threat from her. She seemed genuinely curious. Not predatory. Would you like a tour of the station? Jake offered. We don't have much, but you are welcome here. Zara tilted her head, studying him. You would trust me so easily, I am alien to you. Jake shrugged, another gesture that seemed to fascinate her. We have to start somewhere. If you wanted to hurt us, you could have already. Your ship is clearly more advanced wisdom from a primitive species, she said, but her tone was admiring, not mocking. Yes, Captain. I would very much like to see how humans live. They led her through the station. Zara marveled at everything. The mess hall where miners ate together, laughing over simple meals. The recreation room where off-duty workers played ancient card games. The observation deck where couples watched the stars. You build community, she observed. Your technology is basic, but you create warmth. My people have forgotten this. We live in isolation even when surrounded by others. In the hydroponics bay. She stopped, amazed at the growing plants. She touched a tomato plant gently. You grow food in space. But why your synthesizers could make nutrients more efficiently? Amy answered this one. Because a real tomato tastes better than a fake one. Because watching something grow gives us hope. Because sometimes efficiency isn't everything. The princess studied Amy with those violet eyes. You speak of hope, often. Do your people really believe tomorrow will be better even when today is hard? Most of the time, Jake said. Sometimes that's all that keeps us going. Remarkable, Zara said. I must learn more. She stayed for hours asking endless questions about human families, about love, about why they sang songs and told stories. Her people had advanced beyond the need for such things, she said. But watching the humans made her wonder if they had advanced or simply forgotten as the day cycle ended. Jake walked her back to her ship. Will you return? He asked. She turned at the airlock, looking back at him. May I ask something personal? Captain Jake nodded. When you first saw me, were you afraid? Yes, he admitted. But you welcomed me anyway. Why? Because fear shouldn't stop us from making friends, Jake said. Besides, you have kind eyes. No one had ever said that to her before. In her empire, she was royalty, treated with cold respect. Here she was just Zara, and somehow that felt better. I will return tomorrow, she promised. There is much I need to understand about your species. Jake watched her ship undock and fade into the darkness. He had no idea that this simple meeting would change the course of both their civilizations forever. Princess Zara returned the next day, and the next, and the next. Each visit lasted longer as she explored every corner of human life on the mining station. Her silver ship became a familiar sight in bay. Jake found himself looking forward to her visits more than he wanted to admit. She brought gifts from her world, crystals that sang when touched, fabrics that changed color with mood, and devices that projected memories as holograms. But she seemed more interested in receiving than giving. She sat in the mess hall watching miners share their lunch. A worker named Carl offered her half his sandwich. She examined it carefully. This is inefficient nutrition, she said, but took a bite anyway. Her eyes widened. This is wonderful. Carl laughed. It's just peanut butter and jelly, princess, nothing special. She shook her head. Everything you make is special. You put care into it. My people forgot that food could be pleasure. We consume only what we need. Jake sat beside her. You keep saying your people forgot things. What happened to them? Zara was quiet for a moment, her violet eyes distant. We evolved past emotion. We thought it was progress. Strong feelings led to war, jealousy, hatred. So we removed them through generations of genetic modification. Now we feel nothing. That sounds lonely, Jake said. She looked at him, surprised that he understood. It is the great emptiness, we call it. We have conquered death itself. My people live for thousands of years, but we do not truly live. We exist. The conversation was interrupted by an alarm. Jake jumped up, running to the control room. Zara followed, moving with inhuman grace. "What's happening?" Lisa asked, arriving at the same time. "Asteroid storm," Danny reported from his station. "Came out of nowhere. Our shields won't hold." Jake studied the readings. His heart sank. The asteroids would tear through the station in minutes. They had maybe one chance. "All hands prepare for emergency evacuation," he ordered, though he knew their small escape pods would never survive the storm. "Wait," Zara said. She touched a device on her wrist, speaking in her musical language. Her ship outside began to glow. "What are you doing?" Jake asked. "Saving you," she said simply. "My ship will extend its shields around your station. But I need something. From you, anything." Jake said, "Trust," she said. "The shield will hold, but your people will feel my mind touching theirs. It is how the technology works. They must not fight it." Jake hit the station-wide communication. "Everyone listen. Princess Zara is going to save us, but you will feel something strange in your minds. Do not resist. Let her help us." The glow from her ship expanded, surrounding the station like a bubble. The first asteroids hit, bouncing off harmlessly. But Jake felt it immediately, a presence, in his mind, gentle but alien. Around him, the crew gasped and grabbed their heads, but they remembered his words and tried to relax. The sensation was strange, like someone reading a book over your shoulder, but not unpleasant. Zara stood in the center of the control room, her eyes closed in concentration. Her skin glowed brighter, and Jake realized she was straining herself. The storm lasted an hour. When the last asteroid passed, Zara collapsed. Jake caught her before she hit the floor. "Medical bay," now he ordered, carrying her. Amy ran ahead, preparing a bed. Zara was conscious but weak as Jake laid her down. Her blue skin had paled to almost gray. "You saved us all," Jake said. "Why?" She managed a small smile. "Because you gave me half your sandwich yesterday." Jake looked confused. "Small kindnesses," she whispered. "That is what my people lost. We would never share our food with a stranger. We would calculate the benefit to ourselves first. You just share because it is right." Amy scanned her with medical equipment. "Princess, your energy is depleted. You need to return to your ship to recover." "No," Zara said. "I want to stay, please." She looked so vulnerable in that moment, not like a princess of a vast empire, but like someone who had been alone too long. Jake took her hand without thinking. Her skin was cool but not unpleasant. "Hey, sweetie, you need to rest," he said gently. "Let us take care of you for once." The endearment slipped out before he could stop it. He started to apologize, but Zara squeezed his hand. Her cheeks flushed purple. "Yes, darling," she replied, trying the word carefully. "I will rest." Emmy raised an eyebrow at Jake but said nothing. She adjusted the bed and dimmed the lights. Everyone left except Jake, who stayed holding Zara's hand. "Tell me about Earth," she said softly. Jake talked for hours about blue skies and green forests, about oceans and mountains, about cities full of life and small towns where everyone knew your name. Zara listened with her eyes closed, drinking in every word. "When you saved us," Jake said, "I felt your mind." "What did you feel from us?" "Everything," she murmured. "Fear, but also courage, love for each other, determination to protect your home. You felt everything at once, and it was beautiful. My people would have simply calculated the odds and evacuated." "We are not very logical," Jake admitted. She opened her eyes, looking at him. "No, you are not. That is why you are magnificent." Over the next days, as Zara recovered, she became part of the station family. Carl taught her card games, which she lost spectacularly despite her superior intelligence. Lisa showed her human music and was amazed when Zara cried at a sad song. "I have not cried in 300 years, Zara said, touching her wet cheeks. "Is it always so powerful?" "Sometimes," Lisa said. "But it helps you heal too." Danny let her help with repairs. She was fascinated by human engineering held together by determination and duct tape, as Danny called it. Her people would simply replace anything broken. Humans fixed things and made them stronger. "You bond with your tools," she observed, watching Danny patch a pipe. He shrugged. "This pipe has been here since my grandfather worked this station." It deserves respect. One evening, Jake found her in the observation deck staring at the stars. She looked sad. "I must leave soon," she said. "My father demands I return." Jake felt his heart drop, though he tried not to show it. "We knew you could not stay forever." She turned to him. "I have been sending reports to my people about humans. They think I'm corrupted by your emotions. They want to study you to understand why you affect us so strongly." "That sounds ominous," Jake said. She took his hand. "I will not let them hurt you. But changes are coming. My people are divided. Some want to reconnect with emotions, others fear it will destroy our civilization." "What do you want?" Jake asked. She looked at their joined hands. "I want to stay here and eat peanut butter sandwiches. I want to cry at music and laugh at Danny's jokes. I want to feel alive again and stay," Jake said. She smiled sadly. "A princess cannot abandon her duties, but I will return. And when I do, things will be different." She left the next morning. The station felt empty without her. Jake threw himself into work, trying not to think about Violet, eyes and blue skin. 2 weeks later, proximity alarms screamed. Hundreds of ships appeared around the station, Celestial Empire vessels surrounding them completely. Jake felt his blood run cold. This was it. The invasion everyone feared. Then his communication panel lit up with a familiar face. "Miss me?" Captain Zara asked with a very human grin. Behind her stood dozens of her people, all looking curious rather than hostile. "What is this?" Jake asked. She laughed, that wind chime sound he had missed so much. "This is first contact, real first contact. My people want to learn about emotions again, and I told them the humans of Mining Station 7 were the best teachers." Lisa whooped. Danny started laughing. Amy was already making medical preparations for alien visitors. "Welcome back, Princess," Jake said, feeling hope rise in his chest. "Just Zara," she corrected. "I left my title behind. I choose to be just Zara here." The fleet of ships began docking procedures. 300 members of the Celestial Empire had come to learn what it meant to feel again. It would not be easy. Culture shock went both ways. But as Jake watched Zara coordinate the arrival, her face bright with excitement, he knew they would figure it out. Humanity had always been good at impossible things. The mining station transformed overnight. 300 members of the Celestial Empire walked its corridors, their blue skin and silver hair making them easy to spot. Their advanced technology upgraded the station's systems, but it was the cultural exchange that truly changed everything. Zara established herself as liaison between the species. She wore human clothes, now simple jumpsuits, that made her seem less alien. Though her grace and beauty still turned heads, Jake assigned her an office next to his, and they worked together, managing the integration. The first weeks were challenging. The Celestials struggled with human concepts that seemed basic. A young Celestial named Crix stood in the mess hall staring at two miners arguing over a sports game. Why do they fight over something that does not matter? He asked Zara. She had learned to smile at such questions, because caring about small things teaches you to care about big things. Watch what happens next. The argument ended with both miners laughing and sharing a drink. Crix looked more confused than ever. They were angry now. "They are friends I do not understand." Humans bond through conflict. Sometimes, Zara explained, they test each other. Establish trust. It is not logical, but it works. Jake overheard and added, "We call it making up. It's better than never fighting, because it means you care enough to disagree." Crix recorded everything in his datapad, trying to understand the Celestials. All carried these devices documenting human behavior like scientists studying a new species. But humanity studied them back. Amy Chen led the medical exchange. She discovered that Celestials could live for millennia but paid a price. Their bodies were perfect but static, unable to adapt or change. "You do not age," Amy said, reviewing the scans, "but you do not heal either. Every injury stays forever." Zara nodded, showing a faint scar on her arm. "From when I was young by your standards 200 years ago, we cannot regenerate like humans do." Amy was fascinated. "Your bodies are like perfect machines, but machines do not grow." Humans are messy, but we adapt. The cultural center became the heart of the exchange. Danny had suggested converting a large storage bay into a shared space. Humans and Celestials worked together to build it. The result was part human comfort, part alien art. Movie night became a weekly tradition. The first time they showed an old Earth film, the Celestials sat rigid and confused as humans laughed and cried. But slowly they began to understand. The small human defeats the large one, Crix observed during a boxing movie. This is not logical heartbeat size. Sometimes Carl explained, munching popcorn, a snack. The aliens found baffling but addictive. Zara sat next to Jake during these gatherings. Their shoulders touched and neither pulled away. The crew noticed but said nothing. The growing connection between their captain and the former princess was obvious to everyone. One day, a crisis tested their fragile peace. A young Celestial, named Vera, accidentally broke a memorial plaque in the station's Hall of Honor. It listed miners who had died over the years. Vera had not understood its importance and used her technology to recycle it for materials. The humans were furious. That plaque had names of their friends, their family. Lisa had to hold Carl back from confronting Vera. She did not know, Jake said, trying to calm everyone, but his own anger was visible. Zara found Vera crying purple tears in her quarters, the first Celestial tears any human had seen. I did not understand, Vera sobbed. They are just names of dead humans. Why does it matter so much? Zara sat beside her. Because humans honor their dead. They keep memories alive. Love does not end when someone dies. This is what we lost when we stopped feeling. But it hurts, Vera said. The humans hurt because those people are gone. Why choose pain? Because the pain proves the love was real. Zara said she had learned this from Jake. Without pain, joy means nothing. Without loss, love has no weight. Vera worked for days with human craftsmen to create a new memorial. It was beautiful beyond the original, combining human names with celestial crystal that made them glow. The dedication ceremony brought both species together. We're wrong, Vera said publicly. My people thought forgetting the dead made us strong. But humans know that remembering makes you stronger. The crowd was silent as she read every name on the memorial, pronouncing them carefully. When she finished, Carl stepped forward and hugged her. The first human celestial embrace. That night, Jake found Zara on the observation deck, their usual meeting spot. Your people are changing, he said. So are yours, she replied. Your crew no longer fears us. Jake stood close to her. They had been dancing around their feelings for weeks. Fear was not the only emotion growing between their species. Zara, I need to tell you something. He started. She turned to face him, her violet eyes knowing. I feel it too. Jake, whatever this is, between us I feel it. But you are a princess and I am just a mining captain. I told you I left that title behind. She said, I choose to be just Zara. And you are not just anything. You are the human who taught me to feel. Again, Jake reached up to touch her face. Her skin was cool but warmed under his hand. Can this even work between us? She leaned into his touch. We will not know unless we try. Is that not the human way? Before he could respond, alarms rang through the station. They ran to the control room where Lisa looked pale. 3 celestial warships just arrived, she reported. They are demanding all Celestials return immediately. On the screen appeared a tall Celestial with cold eyes, Commander Thane of the Empire. Guard Princess Zara, he said, his voice flat. You will return with us. The experiment is over. I am not returning, Zara said firmly. This is not an experiment. We are learning to live again. The Emperor orders it, Thane said. Emotions have compromised you. You consort with primitives. Jake stepped forward. They are not primitives, they are our teachers. Thane looked at Jake with disgust. A human speaks. You are insects to us. Your lives last mere decades. You know nothing of the universe. We know how to live those decades. Jake replied, Not just exist, but truly live. Can you say the same? The commander was silent for a moment, Return willingly, or we will take you, he said to Zara. If you take us, we will fight. Crix said, stepping forward. We have learned this from humans. Sometimes you must fight for what matters. More Celestials joined him, then more. Even Quiet Vera stood with them. They had been on the station only weeks, but already they had changed. Thane, you feel nothing, Zara said. Is that really better than feeling everything? The commander cut the transmission. The warship's powered weapons, Jake knew the station had no chance against them. I am sorry, Zara said to Jake. I brought this danger to you. Hey, sweetie, Jake said, taking her hands. We face it together. That is what humans do. Yes, darling, she replied with a sad smile. We face it together. But before the warships could fire, something unexpected happened. The celestial fleet that had brought the 300 began moving. They positioned themselves between the warships and the station on. The screen commander Thane appeared again, furious. What is this rebellion? It is not rebellion, a new voice said. An elderly celestial appeared on another screen. It is evolution. Commander, I am Elder Soros. I have lived 3,000 years and I have watched our people slowly die inside. These humans have shown us how to live again. The standoff lasted hours. More ships arrived, some supporting Thane, others defending the station. The Celestial Empire was dividing over the question of emotions. Jake had an idea. What if we prove emotions make you stronger, not weaker? How, Zara asked. Danny had been working on something. A joint project between human and celestial technology. Bring both sides here, Jake said. Let them see what we can accomplish together. The invitation went out surprisingly. Both sides agreed to send representatives. The demonstration took place in the cargo bay. Danny and his mixed team had built something impossible. A hybrid ship that used both technologies. It should not have worked, but it did because the builders trusted each other. Humans provided intuition and creativity. Celestials provided precision and knowledge. Together they had made something neither could alone. This is just the beginning, Jake said, addressing both groups. Imagine what else we could achieve. Elder Soros examined the ship with wonder. 3,000 years and I have never seen innovation like this. We have been stagnant copying old designs. This is new even. Commander Thane seemed affected, though he tried to hide it. Zara stood between both groups, her voice carrying across the bay. I have lived with humans for weeks now. I have felt joy and sorrow, fear and hope. I am more alive than I have been in centuries. This is not weakness. It is strength. The room was silent as she continued. My father, the Emperor, sent me to study humans, but I learned more than that. I learned that feeling. Nothing is not living. Long life means nothing if it is empty. She took Jake's hand publicly, choosing her side. I choose to feel. I choose to live, even if it means a shorter life. I choose love over emptiness. One by one, Celestials moved to stand with her. Even some from Thane's group crossed over. In the end, Commander Thane stood with only a few supporters. The Empire will not accept this, he said. Then the Empire must change, Zara replied, or it will die of its own emptiness. Thane left with his remaining supporters, but the damage was done. Word spread through celestial space about the mining station where people were learning to feel again. More ships arrived every day. Jake stood with Zara watching the new arrivals. We are changing history, he said. She squeezed his hand. We are making history together. 3 months passed and Mining Station 7 became the most important place in known space. Representatives from Earth arrived along with journalists, scientists, and diplomats. What had started as a simple first contact had become a revolution. Jake stood in his office, now 3 times larger than before, looking at reports. The station population had grown to 5,000, half human, half celestial. They had built new sections using combined technology, creating something unique. Zara entered, carrying tea, a human habit she had adopted. She moved differently now, more relaxed, less formal. Her silver hair was tied back in a ponytail, another human custom she liked. The Earth Council wants to visit next week, she said. They are nervous about so many Celestials here. Let them come, Jake replied, taking the tea. They need to see what we have built. She sat on his desk, Another informal habit that would have horrified her people months ago. I received a message from my father. Jake looked up concerned. The Emperor had been silent since the confrontation with Commander Thane. And he wants to meet you, she said. He is coming here. Jake nearly dropped his tea. The Emperor of the Celestial Empire is coming to our mining station. She nodded. He has been receiving reports about the changes in our people. He is curious and angry and perhaps a little afraid of what Jake asked of feeling again. She said quietly, he has not felt anything for 5,000 years. The news spread quickly through the station. Humans panicked about meeting alien royalty. Celestials worried about their Emperor's judgment, but preparation brought both groups together. Amy organized medical protocols discovering that Celestials who embraced emotions showed actual physiological changes. Their brains were developing new pathways dormant for generations. You are literally evolving, she told Vera, who had become her assistant. The emotions are changing. Your biology. Vera smiled, the expression that came naturally now. Is that not what growth means? Danny worked with Crix on defensive systems just in case the young Celestial had become fascinated with human engineering, especially the concept of redundancy. Why build backup systems? Crix had asked initially. If something is perfect, it will not fail. Nothing is perfect, Danny had explained. So we plan for failure. Makes us harder to beat. Now Crix understood. He had even started using duct tape, earning laughter from the human engineers. The Emperor arrived without fanfare. His ship was massive, making even the largest human vessels look like toys, but only a small shuttle docked. 3 figures emerged. Emperor Zex stood 8 feet tall with skin like midnight blue and eyes that held the weight of millennia. He moved with careful precision, each step measured. Beside him walked 2 guards, their faces emotionless. Jake and Zara waited in the docking bay. Jake fought the urge to fidget. Very few humans had stood before beings who had lived since before human civilization existed. Father, Zara said, bowing formally. The Emperor looked at her for a long moment. You have changed, daughter. Your posture, your expression, even your chemical signature is different. I have learned to feel again, Zara replied. The Emperor turned to Jake. So you are the human who corrupted my daughter. Jake met his ancient gaze steadily. I prefer to think I helped her remember who she could be. Bold words from a creature who will die before my next sleep cycle, the Emperor said. Jake shrugged, another gesture that seemed to puzzle the ancient being. Maybe, but I will live more in my decades than you have in your millennia. The guard stepped forward, but the Emperor raised a hand. Stand down. I came here to understand, not to threaten. Show me this integration I keep hearing about. They toured the station. The Emperor observed everything but showed no emotion. He watched humans and Celestials working together in the engineering bay. He sat through a meal in the mess hall where Carl offered him a sandwich. The Emperor studied the simple food. This provides minimal nutrition but maximum enjoyment, Carl said with a grin. The observation deck provided the most interesting moment. A human child ran past, chasing a ball. She bumped into the Emperor and fell. Lisa rushed over, horrified. I am so sorry, Your Majesty, she said, helping her daughter up. The child looked up at the Emperor without fear. You are really tall, she said. Can you reach the ceiling? The Emperor stood frozen. For a moment, Jake thought something terrible would happen. Then the Emperor slowly raised his hand and touched the ceiling. I can, he said simply. The child clapped and ran off to play. The Emperor watched her go, something flickering in his ancient eyes. She does not fear me, he said. Why would she? Jake said. To her, you are just someone new to meet. Children do not know they should be afraid. In the cultural center, they found mixed groups sharing activities. Vera was teaching origami to human children while learning their games. Crix played chess with Danny, losing badly but laughing about it. The Emperor observed Crix closely. This one was born to be a warrior. Now he laughs at defeat. He is still a warrior, Zara said. He just learned that not every fight needs blood. That evening, Jake arranged a private dinner, just himself, Zara and the Emperor. The ancient being had not eaten in centuries, taking only nutrient injections, but he tried the food. The Emperor took a bite of pasta and stopped. His eyes widened slightly. "The taste is unnecessary," he said, but took another bite. "Yet compelling taste makes eating an experience, not just survival." Jake explained. "We humans find joy in small pleasures." Joy? The Emperor repeated the word like foreign language. "I remember joy. I think it was so long ago. Tell me about it." Zara encouraged. The Emperor was quiet for a long moment. "When I was young, before the Great Change, I had a garden. I grew things not for food, but for beauty. The flowers had no purpose except to exist and be admired." "What happened to it?" Jake asked. "I destroyed it when we eliminated emotions." The Emperor said. "Gardens were deemed inefficient. Now I wonder if efficiency was worth the cost." They talked through the night. The Emperor asked endless questions about human emotions, about their art and music, about why they fought wars over ideas rather than resources. "You are chaos," he said to Jake. "Your species should not work. You are divided, violent, irrational. Yet you survived and spread across the stars. We survived because of those things, not despite them," Jake replied. "Our chaos drives innovation. Our violence teaches us the value of peace. Our irrational hope keeps us going. When logic says to quit." The next morning, the Emperor asked to see the hybrid ship Danny and his team had built. He examined every component, touching the places where human creativity met celestial precision. "This should not exist," he said. "Our technologies are incompatible. Love makes things compatible." Danny said, then blushed, realizing he had just given relationship advice to an alien emperor. The Emperor looked at Danny for a long moment. Then he did something no one expected. He smiled. It was rusty, unpracticed, but genuine. "Perhaps you are right, young human. Perhaps compatibility is not about technology, but about willingness to connect." He turned to the gathered crowd of both species. "I have ruled for 5,000 years. I have seen civilizations rise and fall. I thought emotions were weakness that would destroy us. But watching you, I see the truth. We were already destroyed, we just did not know we were dead." He walked to Zara and took her hands, another gesture he had not made in millennia. "You are right to stay, daughter. You are more alive now than you ever were in the palace." "Father, does this mean?" Zara started. The Emperor nodded. "The Empire will change. Not all at once, but it will begin here. This station will be the bridge between our peoples. Those who wish to learn emotions may come. Those who do not may remain as they are. But we will no longer forbid feeling." The station erupted in celebration. Humans hugged Celestials, teaching them the gesture. Several Celestials cried for the first time in centuries. The Emperor stood in the middle of it, all looking overwhelmed, but not unpleasantly so. Jake approached him. "Thank you, Your Majesty." The Emperor shook his head. "Thank you, Captain. You gave me back something I had forgotten I had lost." Hope that night there was a party unlike anything the station had seen. Celestials attempted dancing with hilarious results. Humans tried celestial meditation with equally amusing failures, but everyone laughed together. Jake found Zara on the observation deck, their usual spot. She was crying but smiling. "Happy tears," she said, wiping her face. "I finally understand the difference." Jake pulled her close. They fit together perfectly despite their differences. Her cool skin against his warmth, her grace balancing his strength. "What happens now?" he asked. "Now we build something new," she said. "Not human or celestial, but something better. Something together." "Hey, sweetie," Jake said softly. "We already have." "Yes, darling," she replied and kissed him. Outside, the stars continued their ancient dance. But inside the station, two species were writing a new future, one where logic and emotion could coexist, where efficiency and joy were not enemies, where differences made them stronger. The revolution had begun not with weapons, but with a sandwich shared between strangers. It would spread not through force, but through the simple truth that feeling was not weakness. It was the greatest strength of all. 1 year later, Mining Station 7 had become a city in space. The original structure was now the center of a sprawling complex that housed 50,000 beings from both species. Ships arrived daily, bringing curious celestials and eager humans. Jake stood in the new command center watching the organized chaos. He wore a different uniform, now ambassador instead of captain, but everyone still called him captain out of habit and respect. Zara entered wearing a flowing dress that mixed human and celestial fashion. Her appearance had changed too. Her blue skin had a warmer tone, and her silver hair showed hints of gold. The physical changes in celestials who embraced emotions had become a studied phenomenon. "The wedding planners are here," she said with a mix of excitement and nervousness. Jake groaned playfully. "Our wedding has become a diplomatic event," she laughed. "It is the first human celestial marriage. It was always going to be historic." The ceremony planning had taken months, not because they wanted it complex, but because everyone wanted to contribute. Carl insisted on catering. Danny designed holographic decorations. Amy planned medical contingencies for mixed species guests. The list went on. In the year since the Emperor had visited, everything had changed. The Celestial Empire was transforming. Some regions embraced emotions fully, others resisted, but the change was unstoppable. Crix had returned to celestial space as an ambassador of sorts. He taught his warrior clan about laughter. And friendship reports said his entire battalion now played chess and shared meals together. Vera had stayed, becoming the station's first celestial doctor to study human medicine. She worked with Amy, publishing papers on the biological changes emotions caused in celestial physiology. Your neural pathways are not just developing. Amy had explained to a group of celestial scientists, they are exploding with growth, like a desert suddenly flooded with rain. The wedding day arrived, Earth and celestial. Officials attended, but Jake and Zara had insisted on keeping it personal. The ceremony was held in the observation deck, where they had spent so many evenings. Lisa stood as Jake's witness, while Vera stood for Zara. The crowd was perfectly mixed humans and celestials sitting together without thought to species. Elder Soros performed the ceremony, mixing traditions from both cultures. Jake Miller. Soros began. Do you take Zara to be your partner in this life? Knowing that your time is brief, but promising. To make each moment count, I do. Jake said, looking into Zara's violet eyes. More than that, I promise to help her feel every joy and weather, every sorrow, to be her anchor when emotions overwhelm and her companion in discovering what it means to be alive. Zara of the Celestial Empire. Soros continued, do you take Jake to be your partner, knowing that you will outlive him, but choosing love? Despite the inevitable loss, Zara squeezed Jake's hands. I do. I choose a lifetime of love over an eternity of emptiness. I choose to feel everything, even the pain of eventual goodbye, because that pain will prove how real our love was. When they kissed, the crowd erupted. Celestials had learned to cheer from humans, and the sound filled the station. But the most moving moment came from an unexpected source. The Emperor stood and walked forward. He had returned for the wedding, though few expected him to attend. He placed his hands on their joined ones and spoke. My daughter, you have taught me that courage is not the absence of fear, but choosing love. Despite it, Captain Jake, you have shown me that a brief life lived fully is worth more than eternal existence without meaning. He paused, and when he continued, his voice carried emotion for the first time. In millennia, I bless this union. May it be the first of many. May our species grow together in ways we cannot imagine. The reception became legendary. Carl had worked with celestial cooks to create fusion cuisine that should not have worked but did. Music mixed human instruments with celestial harmonics, creating something entirely new. Danny gave a toast that made everyone laugh, talking about the first time he saw Jake staring at Zara like she had hung the stars. I knew right then we were all doomed, he said, raising his glass. Doomed to become something better. Even Commander Thane attended. He had not changed his views, but had come to observe. He stood apart until the human child from before tugged on his hand. Dance with me, she demanded, with the fearlessness of youth. Thane looked horrified, then slowly let himself be pulled onto the dance floor. The sight of the severe commander attempting to dance with a 5-year-old became the most shared image across both civilizations. As the night continued, Jake and Zara slipped away to their quarters. They stood at their window watching ships come and go, a constant stream of connection between worlds. "Are you happy?" Jake asked, holding her close. She turned in his arms. "I did not know what happiness was until I met you. Now I cannot imagine existing without it." The communication panel chimed with a priority message. Jake almost ignored it, but Zara recognized the signature. "It is from the Deep Space Expedition." She said. They opened the message together, and both gasped. A celestial exploration ship had made contact with another species. The synthesis, they called themselves beings of pure energy, who had been watching both humans and celestials. The message was simple. "We have observed. You're joining physical and emotional, logical and chaotic. You have achieved what we could not." "We wish to learn," Jake laughed. "The universe just got bigger and more interesting." Zara added, "Over the following months, the station became a trinity point where 3 species met. The synthesis were harder to understand than celestials had been. They existed as energy patterns struggling to comprehend physical form, but humans did what humans did best. They found common ground. A young engineer named Katie discovered the synthesis could appreciate music when converted to energy patterns. Soon, the station pulsed with light shows that were actually synthesis poetry. The Celestials provided the technology to communicate more clearly. Their logic bridged the gap between human intuition and synthesis abstraction. Jake often stood in the new embassy wing watching the 3 species interact. A human child played a game with a young Celestial, while a synthesis being flickered above them in what might have been laughter. "We did this," Zara said, joining him, her hand finding his. "No," Jake corrected. "We just opened the door. Everyone walked through it together." The transformation was not without problems. Some Celestials could not handle emotions and needed help. Amy and Vera had developed treatments to ease the transition. Some humans struggled with the vast timescales Celestials thought, and support groups formed naturally. One day, Carl asked Zara a question that had bothered many humans. "Do you regret that you will live so much longer than Jake?" Zara did not hesitate. "No. Every day with him is worth a century without him. I have learned that time is not about duration, but about depth. The first hybrid children were born, not biological impossibilities, but children raised by mixed couples adopting from both species. They grew up speaking both languages, thinking in both logical patterns and emotional waves. These children became the true bridge between species. Jake and Zara adopted one such child, a human girl whose parents had died in an accident and a young Celestial boy whose family could not accept his emotional development. They raised them as siblings, teaching them that difference was strength. 5 years passed. The station had become a world unto itself. The technology they developed by working together surpassed anything either species had created alone. Medical advances from studying celestial longevity helped humans live longer, fuller lives. Emotional therapy helped Celestials break free from millennia of suppression. The synthesis contributed their own gifts, teaching both species about existence beyond physical form. It was rumored they were working on something that would allow consciousness to transfer between states, but that was still years away. Jake had aged in those 5 years, gray touching his hairlines forming around his eyes. But Zara said she loved each sign of time passing. It meant he was living fully. One evening, as they sat with their children watching Earth through the window, their daughter asked a question. "Why did you choose Dad when you could have lived forever without pain?" Zara pulled the child close. "Because your father taught me that love is not about avoiding pain, but about finding something worth the pain. Love makes us vulnerable, but that vulnerability makes us strong." Their son added his own observation, something only a child raised between cultures could see. Humans are like fire burning bright and fast. Celestials are like stars, steady and eternal. But together, you make something new, like a nebula where stars are born. Jake and Zara exchanged glances over their children's heads. The boy had understood something fundamental. "Hey, "Sweetie," Jake said to Zara, using the endearment that had become their tradition. "You know he is right. We are making something new." "Yes, darling," she replied. And it is beautiful, outside their window. Ships continued to arrive. Humans, celestials, and synthesis, working together on projects that none could have imagined alone. The mining station that had started as humanity's edge had become the center of something greater. The revolution that began with a princess learning to feel had become an evolution of 3 species, learning to be more than they were, alone. And at the heart of it all was a simple truth that humans had always known, but had now taught to the stars. Love was not logical, but it was the most powerful force in the universe. It could bridge any gap, heal any wound, and create possibilities from impossibility.